can go ahead and, okay, sure, do a call to order. Should we start with the roll call?
Yeah,
Well-
we can go ahead and start with roll call, and I'll just slowly go through everybody until
Yeah.
Deirdre comes back to the dais.
Can I do the land acknowledgement first, or just?
I think in order to change. Well, this is all on the same item, so I think that we can start with the land acknowledgement and
Okay.
then bring it back to the roll call.
Sounds good.
Such a rebel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we want to do the roll call, looks like. Yeah. Let's start with the roll call. Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So September 8th, 2025, we'll do a roll call. So Member Carlton?
Here.
Member Green?
Here.
Member Wan?
Here.
Member Johnson?
Here.
Member Yee?
Here.
Member Shaw?
Here. Okay, and with that, let's go ahead and move on to the land acknowledgement, which I will go ahead and read. The City of Albany recognizes that we occupy the land originally protected by the Confederated Villages of Leisjohn. We acknowledge the genocide that took place on these lands and must make strides to repay the moral debt that is owed to this indigenous people, specifically the Ohlone tribe. We thank them for their contributions, which have transformed our community and will continue to bring forth growth and unity. The City of Albany commits to sustaining ongoing relationships with the tribe and together build a better future for all that now make this their home. All right.
All right, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Hopefully everybody got a chance to take a look at the minutes from the July 14th meeting. Does anybody want me to bring them up to take a look at it, or any changes? Okay, then if we get a motion to approve.
I motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Member Carlton? Okay. All right, on the approval of the minutes, do a roll call vote. Member Yee?
Aye.
Member Johnson?
Aye.
Member Wan? Member Green? Member Carlton?
Aye.
Chair Shaw?
Aye.
Minutes passed.
All right, and onwards to public comment.
All right, seeing that we don't yet have anybody here in the room, we have a few attendees online. If anybody in the online audience would like to make a comment during public comment session, please raise your hand and we will call on you. I'm not seeing any hands.
Okay, with that, then we can go ahead and move on to presentations.
Okay, so no presentations tonight. However, I did, based on the last meeting, I moved the Fallen to Haiku item to discussion and possible action. At the last meeting, we received a subcommittee report on the Fallen to Haiku, and I wanted to bring it back tonight for the committee to be able to discuss and to officially approve. I think that was the kind of the general consensus from the last meeting. Maybe we could also, I attached the same presentation from the last meeting in case the committee wanted to look at that again, and put some plans forward. Really, the committee doesn't have to do much at this point for it. It looks like the subcommittee is taking care of that, but I'll maybe give it to Dexter to kind of bring us back up to speed with what's going on, and then officially tonight the committee can vote to approve moving forward with this.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. All right, so basically,
Would you like me to bring the presentation up again?
do people want me to repeat the information I said last time? Okay. Yeah, I mean, basically,
I think we were all here for the presentation. It was all quite clear. So maybe just if they're showing anything that's new, if there's like an update that you want to show, that would be good to see, but I don't think we have to run through the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking I could just give a quick update.
Yeah, we can do a verbal update too.
Yeah, sure. Basically, over the last 2 months, we've drafted all the language for the website landing page, and that's including the FAQs. And we've also finalized the submission form. So I was working with Jeremy a little bit. So are we all good for the website?
I'll have that completed by the end of the week. I had a death in the family in August, and so I'm a little bit behind, but I should be able to have that done by Friday.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, once the project is approved, we're preparing to begin outreach and launch the submission form. For the outreach, we're gonna print the promotional postcards and try and get the project into the City of Albany newsletter and like school newsletters as well, and then leave the postcards in like businesses, local businesses and stuff like that. As of right now, the budget is the same as I presented last meeting. Yeah, and I've been in communication with the Albany Community Foundation and the city regarding the payment. The payment's gonna be directly paid to the printer, so we got that cleared up. And yeah, so our hope is to have the promotional material out within the next week or two and have a submission deadline of October 15th or so. That can be changed, but that's what we were thinking for now.
I just brought the budget up from the last meeting just
Perfect.
for everybody in the virtual audience and for everybody here, just to remind you kind of what the committee looked at in the subcommittee update at the last meeting. And Dexter, nothing has changed since the last meeting.
No, yeah.
I'm sorry, this is probably in your presentation. How long will the haikus be up?
I think they'll be up for about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month. I can check. We would put them up in, I would say, early November, and then probably take them down around like early December or late November.
Can I? Okay. So I ran into Vice Mayor Peggy McQuaid a few weeks ago, and I was talking with her about how great of a project this is. And one thing we were talking about is and something I want to raise to you is there a possibility of extending it for longer than the 3-week period or whatever it is? Like, I think it's actually quite nice to see them up around Albany personally, and so Vice Mayor McQuaid agreed about this as well, about, could we double that time? Could we do 6 weeks? And like, what impact? Are there any sort of negative repercussions of potentially doing that?
I think we could definitely do that. I think the only thing, when I was talking with Peter Goodman about these projects in the past, is that sometimes the signs can get a little bit like beat up just from public use, or like not use, but like just from being on the street. So sometimes they get knocked down or like degrade a little bit, but I don't think it's that big a deal, and it probably won't happen too much.
Anyone else have thoughts around that?
I think it'd be great if they stayed up longer.
Okay, yeah.
Do we need a motion to extend the?
We should open up for, if there aren't any more questions, we'll open it up for public comment and then bring it back to the committee for discussion and a possible vote.
2 more questions. I can't recall from the presentation, and this is probably in it, but who is choosing the poems? Is it
Right.
subcommittee?
So it's gonna be, we're gonna create a selection committee of us 3, and we are planning on communicating with, we're thinking a high school English teacher, and we don't have a poet laureate right now, which was one of our ideas, but there is a couple former ones who we might reach out to. So, yeah, we're thinking, yeah, and then maybe also an art teacher. So, I think we're thinking of us three and then 2 community members. We can change that if you guys have any ideas.
Are we allowed to submit poems? Not that you should choose us because you know us, but just keep more curious.
I mean, I think we can promise not to be biased. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure.
If it's good enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
Probably won't be, but yeah.
Well, do they leave their names off of their submissions so you don't know?
I don't think so. I think you have to have.
Yeah, I don't recall.
I feel like
I think this is fairly low stakes, so I think the more good ones, that arrive,
I don't think they should be like ashamed if they're.
I don't think is there a maximum number of poems that are going to be featured?
Well, I think we're ordering 60 total posters, so I think we're keeping it to 60.
Yeah, that's great. And then do you build the map? That's something I remember Peter doing, is building a, kind of locating where each poem was on a map.
Yeah.
And I also realized that the new incarnation of this may not be the same way it was done in the past.
Yeah. I think how he did it was, once he put them up, he kind of plotted the points on a Google map. I'm honestly not exactly sure how I would do that at this point, but, and then I think he either put it on the website or linked it on the website, and emailed it in the email to the poets who got it put up. He put it there as well, so you can see, you can see where your poem is up and where others are as well. So yeah.
Yeah, there might be a simpler way to do that, where you just take a photo of it and post it to a Google Photos album that's publicly viewable or something, and just write a comment there or something. But just an idea.
We can do either on the city website. So if we just mark the location with Google coordinates, I should be able to bring flags up on a map representation that we feature on the website.
Great.
Are there any other slides in here that we might want to look at? Maybe just review the timeline here.
Sure. I think it's pretty much the same. Right. Okay, so I think we moved back the launch, or like putting the submission form out by a couple weeks. So now it's going to be mid-August. September. So then we'll be collecting submissions probably mid-October to a little later in October. And then I think from there it's pretty much the same. Maybe it'll get delayed slightly just from not getting it approved last meeting.
And this will not need to come back to the Arts Committee. Once this is kind of running at the community level, the subcommittee kind of taking this over. This doesn't need to. The poems don't need to come back for approval from the full Arts Committee. All right. And then
And for the end there, the remove yard signs, that can obviously be pulled back a couple weeks or month even, depending on what we think is best.
And do you have enough help to be able to put this together? With, I think, the three of you are working on this together. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, let me know if you need an extra set of hands to put them up.
All right, if there are no further questions, I'll open it up to the public, if that's All right, so seeing nobody here in the audience, if anybody in the virtual audience would like to raise their hand and make some public comment on the Fallen to Haiku, please do so now. Raise hand function in Zoom. Nobody's raising their hand, so bring it back to the committee for further discussion and a motion and a second if you're ready to do so.
So this is the motion for the extension of the,
This would be a motion to let's see, I'm going to get the language right. For the implementation of the Fallen to Haiku program. It's an existing program that's just kind of restarting since a hiatus during the pandemic. And then you could add in the motion to extend to 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
so combine them into one motion?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go and do this. It's by Mike. I move to approve the implementation of the Fall into Haiku program with an extension of the yard signs and posters being up for 6 weeks.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, since we have a motion and a second, Member Carlton?
Aye.
Member Green? Member Wan?
Aye.
Member Johnson?
Aye.
Member Yi?
Aye.
Chair Shaw?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we are working on it, and
Great.
I'll get with you about the website.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, over to the PAPP.
Okay, I brought this one back because in the discussion at the last meeting, the committee, all of us got distracted, and there was a motion made, but nobody ever seconded, and a vote was never taken when I was going back to review. So I wanted to make sure we brought it back here to look at what was discussed at the last meeting, which was the combination of the sculptures and the change of the amount. One of the things I also realized in listening back to the discussion is the motion did not include any of the specific details for how to modify the existing PAPP numbers and how that should be changed, moving some amount from one category to the other. And so I think that should be articulated in a motion tonight. So let me go ahead and bring up the existing PAPP. Once this is officially voted on by the committee, staff can take this back to council for approval and then be able to move forward. So at the last meeting, the committee looked at the existing PAPP and we're looking to make some changes to the sculpture loan program. This is just to encapsulate what was discussed at the last meeting. Modify the sculpture loan program to be a sculpture purchase program and combine the amounts, looking at the heron sculpture with the new sculpture purchase program, with the idea that those are both sculptures, and one subcommittee can look at that and we can pool, or the Arts Committee can pool the money, and also modify the set-aside fund to supplement the new sculpture program fund. And you'll have to remind me of the exact amounts, but I believe it was combining the $5,000 from the sculpture loan program, $82.50 from the Heron sculpture. And then I think the total amount was $25,000 for sculptures. So I think that was what, $13.5 from the community projects. And obviously the murals in commercial district is on hold, and Creative Justice Art Project is wrapping up in January. So I'll bring it back to, you know, our expert sculpture subcommittee to maybe lead us through any of this, and then we can.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, thank you, Jeremy. Yes, it's funny how some things just get lost in the meeting as we're having it. But I'm going to go ahead and try to do that motion now, and please let me know if do we want to discuss
first it'll have to be any discussion, any other issues with the PAPP, then we'll open it up for public comment, and then after receiving public comment, then bring it back for any modifications to the PAPP.
Okay, maybe I can mention what the hypothetical proposal will be. So it's going to be to, as Jeremy mentioned, to combine the sculpture loan program with the Heron sculpture line item as well, which will get us to $13,250. Once again, with the Heron sculpture revival program, we're trying to figure out. We're waiting for Public Works to give us an estimate for what that's going to cost. But in the meantime, we have talked about turning the sculpture loan program into a purchase program, because 2 years really isn't that long, and it just kind of practically makes more sense, I think, just to go out and purchase a sculpture. So yeah, one sculpture purchase program line item for $25,000 is a lucky number. And so yeah, $13,250 comes from what you see there, the combination of those two line items, and then the remaining $12,750 would come from the community projects. And anyone have questions or thoughts?
I'm all for that plan. I motion.
Not yet. We still need to open for public comment if there's no other questions from the committee.
Wait, so what happens to the Heron sculpture at that point? I know you might have mentioned it.
Yeah, so the Heron sculpture needs to be rehabilitated. Some work needs to be done, but we don't know what it's going to cost yet. So as of right now, nothing will happen to the Heron sculpture until we can get a report from the Albany Public Works Department. Once we get that, they might come back and tell us it's going to cost $50,000 or $100,000. Then we, as a committee, might say, "Hey, you know what? That's not worth it. Maybe unless there is a potential liability issue of it falling on, injuring someone while they're around on the Albany bulb, we might just let it kind of rust out and look cool." But basically, the only reason we're combining this is just I think it makes sense to sort of streamline it and not have multiple line items. And that Heron sculpture line item has been there for at least the 3 years that I've been involved with the Arts Committee, 3.5 years. So we're just combining the funds together. And then let's say we come back and we find out that it's only going to cost like $5,000 to rehabilitate the Heron sculpture, then we can find that money probably in the community projects or somewhere else.
I think the other thing too to consider is the committee had looked at other pad installation locations. There's one pad that is open that doesn't have any artwork on it right now. So the idea would be the first call for purchases would be to fill that empty space. I think that's what the committee talked about at the last 2 meetings, just to remind everybody.
And then there's a third location somewhere, is there?
There was a third location, but it was never developed. So
Okay, where's that third location?
I'll have to look back to the original plans for what this was before my time looking at it. But I remember looking at the plans, and for whatever reason, it was decided not to do it there. But I can't remember why. So there are only 2 pads that were poured.
Yeah. Yeah, that second pad that's open right now is a very public location at Solano and Masonic. So I think it'd be a great spot to have a sculpture.
Okay, if that concludes all the questions, I'll go ahead and open it for public comment. We don't have anybody here in the live audience, but we do have somebody in our virtual. So, Brian, go ahead.
Thanks. My name's Brian Martin. I am glad to see this is back on the agenda, and I kind of noticed it the first time at the previous meeting, and it's clearly, you guys, this is one of the main things you are working on. That I apologize, I haven't been keeping up on all the details over the last many months, and but for the heron sculpture, I would say I think it is important to get the feedback from Public Works. I go to the bulb pretty frequently, and it is rusty, but it never crossed my mind that it was structurally unsound. So so if they can, that is important feedback to get to then make a more informed decision. I think that's a great idea. I wanted to reiterate I can tell this is kind of near the end of the decision process for you guys for this whole document, and this is basically your budget. One thing is I don't know is how often, is this an annual budget, or is this like is this like a 10-year plan, or what is this? If I get a pretty quick response on that, that would be nice. And I'm kind of coming in on it towards the end of it, and I recognize that, and I don't want to derail anything, but I do have ideas for two projects that I would like to see happen in town. One of them is out at the bulb, and I know the bulb is a really problematic space, being someone who's on the Parks Commission, that it's got all sorts of regulations, and the city only owns certain little parts here and there. But I think it would be good to have something out there that would be, say something like Albany on it, and be like a real selfie station kind of thing, which because it's such a beautiful backdrop, and of the bay and the city and the Golden Gate Bridge, and so I think that would be a real big bonus for the city. And I think also, I mentioned water bottle filling stations. I looked into it some more, and I see some cities do some things, like if you want the cheapest, I want to say simplest thing, is to do like vinyl wraps. If like what people do on cars or buses and things, where you can, an artist can make something, and maybe it says Albany in it, or because right now the water bottle filling stations that the city has are super generic. They're just, pipes with spigots, and so if there was just some sort of artistry and maybe municipal branding with them, with even something as cheap and simple as vinyl wraps, I think that would be a huge plus. But and then my other recommendation was to try to get some sort of artwork that is synergistic with the bottle filling station, and so again, I recognize you guys are near the very end of the process of coming up with your budget, and but I would like to hear how frequently this is revisited, and that 160,000, is that 1 year, or is that just until all these projects are done, which could be 5 or 10 years, or what? And I would like to have someone reach out to me on the, I guess, sculpture subcommittee, if so I could just sort of have a quick back and forth when people meet. That would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Would you like to, I can go ahead and answer the questions if you'd like.
Yeah. That sounds
So
good.
this is for everybody else here, this is an ongoing document. This is managed in the arts, what's the name of the fund? The Arts Fund. So it's one-time monies. Basically spend it until this is done. The committee looks at this at the beginning of each 2-year cycle, but it can be updated at any time. It's basically spending the money. Harsh, maybe you can talk a little bit about, I mean, you've been here on the Arts Committee longer, maybe talk specifically about the fund, but to answer the questions, this can be, the Arts Committee can come back to this at any time to make changes, but it would have to go back to council for approval for any changes. For example, if somebody were to come to a meeting under the, and had an idea for the community project set aside fund, there's fund available to develop something or work with members of the community who have ideas.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to the fund that comes from the Art in Public Places Ordinance. I think that's what it's called, which comes from when development happens in the City of Albany. Either the developers can donate to this fund as a percentage of their development costs, or they can install art on the grounds of their development itself. And so that 160,000, as Jeremy noted, is it is the kind of existing fund. This is sort of a balance sheet look at it. And then what you looked at in the plan right there was it's a 2-year budget. But the reality is that projects can obviously take a long time. And so the murals budget has been there for a couple of years now, and we haven't been able to spend any of it because, it's obviously just a long process to move forward with things. So hopefully that answers that question around that. And then, I appreciate the ideas around what we could do in Albany Bulb. I'm not personally familiar with all the regulations there about what we can put out there, but it sounds like Brian, who just spoke, is familiar with that, having served or is serving on the Parks Subcommittee. And then that was also an interesting idea about the water fountains as well, though I don't know if that falls under the purview of Public Works or
a number of cities have done wraps. I can speak to that. It's not on the agenda tonight, but I certainly can, if the committee wants to look into that. A number of cities, municipalities around here have done certain things with utility boxes that would be similar. There are a number of things to consider in terms of artist rights, in terms of licensing their images for that type of work that is a little bit distinct than original work being painted so there's some specifics, but Alameda County, other cities have plenty of experience, and we belong to a network of arts organizations here in Alameda County that certainly would be able to help provide more information about that.
Yeah. I actually would be interested in the utility boxes. I know that, Deirdre, you've looked into. I passed some of them in El Cerrito, and they look kind of cool.
Yeah, I
so.
tried to do something with that, but not wrapping.
But since that's not on the agenda
We can talk about it. Yeah, we can agendize it and.
Next time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll leave it back to the chair to bring us back to next steps and a possible motion.
Yeah, great. I'm glad we'll do that. I'm glad you reminded me right now because I'd already kind of forgotten exactly where we were. But anyone else want to do a motion?
I move that we approve the revised, combine the sculpture loan program line with the Heron sculpture line into a sculpture program line that would take those two amounts and then some from the community project set aside
That sounds pretty good. Can you repeat it into the microphone very
Oh,
clearly?
no. Oh, my God.
Do we need to call it specifically a purchase program just for the?
Yes, so I think you need to be very clear about what the name of the new program is, and the total amount, and where the funds are coming from.
Okay, so I move that we approve the new PAPP, a revised PAPP, with a new line called Sculpture Purchase Program that is $25,000 that comes from the current sculpture loan program for $5,000, the Heron sculpture for $8,250, and the remainder from the community project set aside. So it equals 25,000.
Okay, got that? Do we have a second?
I can second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call. Member Yi,
Aye.
Member Johnson,
Aye.
Member Wan,
Aye.
Member Green,
Aye.
Member Carlton,
Aye.
Chair Shaw.
Aye.
All right, moving forward. Thank you all.
I just step back a minute because I thought some of the things that Brian brought up were very interesting. That's something that we could potentially put on our agenda for the next meeting. The whole wraps and the utility boxes.
So then that would be a further modification to the PAPP. Maybe what the committee would want to do is create another subcommittee to look into other things to add to the PAPP, or we just leave the PAP on the agenda for the next meeting to discuss other, that would, certainly could do that. Now I'll have to do the math, but there's a certain amount of money that will be left in the community project set aside fund. I think the committee also talked about the last time that maybe that isn't the most effective way to get art into Albany is by having that money sitting there. Maybe maybe the committee needs to be more proactive into looking at other ways to either, one, do outreach, or two, have other suggestions. But that is kind of the buffer amount of money in the fund that's not really spoken for. But I think the committee also, at the last several meetings, was like, it would be good if it all got spent, because then you'd have a lot of art here in Albany. So,
I think from my view, I think I'm hesitant towards holding back on the PAPP for another meeting, because then it'll just sort of stall out some projects. What I might suggest is, I wonder if it's just something we can just explore and talk about in the background, so that when we have, the next go at the PAPP, we can potentially roll that in and just be a bit more ready. Because honestly, the due diligence takes quite a bit of time anyways, even before we have the money set aside for something.
I totally agree. I don't want to stall out what we're getting done here right now, but I just thought those are interesting ideas that could be explored at another time.
Yeah, I like that. I agree. Jeremy, what's the best way to just even explore the ideas, even if we're not talking about the budget line items? Is it just within a subcommittee?
probably a subcommittee would be the best way to get started. But it would have to be an item on a future agenda to create another subcommittee. And that subcommittee would have to be populated with members. So with you. And then I would imagine that there's something that chair and staff can work together and come up with an appropriate item for the next agenda. There's not a lot of stuff coming up in the future, so I think there'll be plenty of room on the docket to be able to have broader general discussions and create a subcommittee to do that work over the next year.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. Maybe creating a subcommittee. So maybe we can work on that offline. Okay, great. Offline, online. I always say offline, but
It's really online.
it means online.
It's offline and online.
Everything's online now.
Yeah. All right. So that, I think takes us over to subcommittee updates.
Yes. So the first, and if you don't have anything to update, that's fine. But fall into haiku. Any updates from the subcommittee?
I think I pretty much covered it. Yeah, I don't have anything unless you guys have questions.
All right. Next is sculpture subcommittee.
No, just I guess after, like, what happens next after the money is set aside?
So the money set aside. I think it'll be a call for
Artists.
artist submissions. Yeah, that'll be the next step. For your gallery.
Overall, everything's moving along straight. We've got 3 artists approved for 2026. Contacting the next artist who's going to round out the year for 2025. And pretty much all set, unless anybody has any comments about the gallery. We're moving along fine.
All right. That brings us to announcements. Just one of the things that I was going to mention, Dinner with Albany is coming up October 4th, so mark your calendars. It should be fun. And aside from that, that's the only staff announcement that I have right now. You'll see me wandering around taking pictures. Any other committee announcements?
I have one, which is just on murals, and I was just going to mention that the bill that has been blocking us proceeding with the murals project, SB 456, is now in the Senate, and it's moved into the second chamber, and I think we're just waiting on a vote inside the second chamber, and then it should be enacted, which would hopefully, I think, typically these bills are enacted as of January 1st. So that would hopefully unblock the murals project, and then maybe we could kick off a few RFPs for sculptures and for murals.
That would be nice.
It's going to rain. Maybe it'll rain RFPs.
Very colorful Albany in 2026.
Yeah, that's a goal.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I walk through Oakland and Richmond and I go, why isn't Albany like this? Why isn't there more art?
That's our job.
I know. Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to, I did anticipate this being a short meeting tonight, but that takes us to our adjournment now at 7:44. So, thank you all. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.